Hello everyone, welcome. This is the next episode is called Breaking the Family Curse. What runs in the family can end with you. If you feel like you've been cursed somehow with love and you've never been able to find the right relationship and you feel like you've come from a family of broken relationships, you're going to love this episode. It's going to show you how you can actually break that family curse and find the relationship that you want, find your soulmate. So, with this episode, something came to me, just this idea of thinking, and because I'm, back at home in my family home, about the things that my mum used to say, oh, that runs in the family. Or have you ever heard your parents say, oh, that, your auntie, Jill had that. So it runs in the family. And, oh, diabetes runs in the family. So all these kind of things. And maybe you start to think, well, my parents broke up and, their parents broke up and, my other people had abusive relationships or they weren't able to meet the right people. And you start to think, is my family cursed? What's going on? Why does this keep happening to me and to people that I know, right? So in this episode, what I want to talk about is to debunk this myth, this idea of this family curse and what runs in the family. And it may seem relevant when it comes to health that your DNA influences, what um, diseases that you get. And yes, to a point, you do have genetic possibilities of having something. What do they say? Manifest that something that lays dormant, a history of some kind of some illness lays dormant and can be triggered by lifestyle or something that happens. Yes, that is possible, but a lot of the time, and you'll if you've listened to a few of my episodes already, you'll hear me talking about the book The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton and how he's talking about the concept of nature versus nurture and how Isaac Newton had emphasized so much the point that nature is really the key that has us programmed already, whether we're going to receive a certain illness or disease or not, right? And really played down the idea that your nurturing your environment can make just as much of an impact, if not more of an impact, into your health and your well-being and your results in your life, right? So what I want to say and how to debunk this idea of what runs in this family, the family curse, is that when you were a child, and Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about this, he proves this, and a lot of other scientists prove this as well, that when you're a child up to the age of 7 or 8, that you were in, and all humans go through this, we are in a much more programmable state. We're in more a delta brainwave state, which means that we're more prone to outside input coming in and being embedded in our subconscious mind. So we have our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, and our superconscious mind. The conscious mind is the creative mind, which actually helps you plan and create a strategy and make paintings and create things. And that also has the thinking capacity to decide whether something should be programmed inside you, should be taken as the rules, right? And at the age when you're younger, as a child, you don't have that capacity, that conscious mind capacity hasn't really developed yet, but the subconscious mind is there and it's absorbing everything like a sponge. So imagine you're growing up and what my parents believe that when you get old, you just simply take medication. It's just part of getting old. Now, it's funny because I don't have that belief. And I think it's because and we grew up in the same household, right? And I don't believe in that, once I've hit 40, I'm going to start wearing prescription glasses for reading. Once I reach a certain age, I have to start taking high blood pressure medication. Those things run in my family, but I don't believe that, that's not in my belief system. And I'm not sure how I got away with it. Growing up in the family, I did, but I think as a child, I also rejected a lot of the things because it didn't suit me. I felt like the black sheep in my family, and I didn't have that same belief of that I needed to take medication. Like when I had my back injury and my mom begged me to have surgery. And when I went to the specialist and he said, well, the only way to treat it is to remove sections of your spine and replace it with a plastic spine. And I was horrified at this idea. And my belief system didn't allow for surgery of this nature when I knew that I could heal myself in some way or bring myself back into homeostasis, bring my body back into its natural, healthful, well being state. And my belief was so strong that I just kept searching for the solution that I could heal naturally, that my body would come back to its natural, healthy state. And I finally did do that with the help of my friend Phil, who's a Gonstead chiropractor, and he helped me to realign my body to suit my beliefs and my ideals because it wasn't aligned. And actually, well, I had to realign my beliefs and ideals so that my body could heal. And that was really the key factor for my health there. And so a lot of what has happened in your life now, the results that you have are a result of that subconscious programming, that dysfunctional subconscious programming. Dysfunctional because it's not working for you if it's not the results that you want in your life, right? So if you have great results, you have great health, you have a great work, then perhaps you have great beliefs in those areas of your life. So it's simply, how can you take those healthy beliefs and transfer it into your love life, right? Does that make sense? So what I also want to, bring across to you is that you can be the one that stops this family curse in this generation, in your generation. It can stop with you. So if you think a lot about women who are in domestic violence, who attract women, partners who abuse them or don't treat them well, that's that mindset that's been inherited of that you're of low value, that you don't deserve love, that you're not worthy. And having these, like as a child, you could either have accepted them or rebelled against it. So if you've rebelled against it, you've probably overcorrected and become too much in the opposite direction. So in what I learned from landmark education was that when you do either of these two things, you actually don't have a choice. You're either pushed in one direction or the other direction. And even rebelling is not a choice. It's a reaction to the programming that is imposed on you. And so when you actually have a choice, that you can actually make your own choice and say, I choose to be loving myself, I choose to be valuing myself, then these choices are actually much more powerful. And I, it may not align with your current subconscious programming, but these are the new belief systems that you can start to put into your programming and start to believe for yourself. I do believe that there is necessary to remove the old programming, and that's why Dr. Bruce Lipton, in his book Biology of Belief, recommended hypnosis or another process called Psych K, which uses kinesiology muscle testing to check if these new belief systems align with the body, or to actually release these old beliefs. And these are two of, I'm not sure how many other ways, but he recommends these two ways as the primary ways to help you reprogram yourself so you can uncover those limiting beliefs, those mental and emotional blocks that are stopping you from seeing a better life, from seeing better relationships. So, for example, I had a call with one client, and she had a firm belief, but it wasn't like it was obvious for her because it was such a hidden blind spot, that everything about relationships had to be hard, that relationships, were difficult. And a lot of women that I've coached have these similar beliefs. And this is why they are in the situation they're in, because they're not, those beliefs are not conducive to having that happy, healthy, interdependent relationship. So that misalignment of your beliefs, your subconscious beliefs, with what you truly want are what are stopping you from meeting your ideal partner, from manifesting your soulmate. And once you understand this concept, it really becomes such hopeful and such an open and amazing and very fast way of manifesting the right guy. So with this client, she said, when I started to bring in these new beliefs and new ideas that, hey, relationships are easy, relationships are effortless, relationships are happy and loving and joyful. And she had a huge breakthrough thinking, I, my beliefs are not aligned with this way of thinking. I do believe that relationships are hard. And that often comes from seeing what happened with your parents, seeing what happened in the people around you growing up. You may have parents who are still together, and that's amazing. But maybe their relationship wasn't happy growing up, so you saw that and go, well, maybe if I don't want to be in a long-term relationship because you're stuck with each other. That's another interpretation, another story that you could have created for yourself about relationships. So that's another reason, another limiting belief that stops you from being in a relationship at all, right? So it's really interesting. There's another, I guess, story or metaphor, and I think it's actually a real story where a child abandoned as a baby, found in the woods by a family of wolves, will grow up thinking he or she is a wolf. A human child will behave the way that they grew up. So someone even of a even for myself as an Asian person who grew up in a Western culture, and I was the youngest of my family, I had more exposure to a Western culture. And so I believe that I have much more Western ideals and beliefs and culture than my family, who, even though my brother is, we're a similar age, but I have a much different belief system than my parents because they didn't grow up here, right? So that's another example. But going back to the wolf story, that if a wolf baby or a dog or a cat, kitten, grows up with a family of humans, they don't think that they're human, do they? So what is the difference? It's that humans have a consciousness. We have, what I related to before was that your conscious, your subconscious, and your superconscious. That superconscious means that we have a connection with our higher power. And we're not quite sure that animals have this. There are some certain animals like dolphins, elephants, monkeys that show signs of intelligence, but we don't know if they have a connection with their spirit. We all know that we've come to this earth. We're alive, and we have some way of of behaving and going about our lives. But it's only really that humans have this super conscious, that we have this ability to make free will choices and to create the lives that we want to create and have deep thinking and have deep conversations with each other. We don't know if animals can do that. So perhaps that's the reason why when we are like the wolf story, when we are grown up in a different environment as a child, we are imprinted with the beliefs, values, and culture of the environment that we grew up with. And so to break that family curse, firstly, is to recognize that the environment that you grew up in as a child is what has given you this current subconscious imprinting, which has related to your current results now. And that idea of, what runs in the family, it's not really that it was, that's how you're meant to be, as Isaac Newton has, argued for the case of nature versus nurture, that you have these genes of getting sick in this particular way, that maybe in love and relationships that you grew up with this family curse of having horrible relationships or relationships that aren't happy and harmonious, that this is a belief in itself. And to recognize that, like, everything pretty much is a belief, right? When someone wants to say a statement to the end of something, they'll say, well, that's just how it is. That's a belief. Well, money doesn't grow on trees, and that's a belief. Well, that's just how relationships are. They're hard work. That's a belief, right? So all these things, we start to recognize them for beliefs, and they're things that we choose to say and that we really can choose what kind of life we want just by the kind of choosing the kind of beliefs that we want to have in our life. And if you choose to say, relationships are easy, relationships are happy, relationships are loving, I'm worthy of amazing relationship, I deserve a loving, amazing relationship. These beliefs are much more conducive. They're almost like mantras or affirmations that you can say to yourself. And you can start to say them to yourself until you believe they're true, or you can just accept them as a truth and there's no trying involved. You just go for it and do it. So hopefully this episode has helped you in some way to understand that you can break that family curse, that it can end with you and your generation. You can have a loving, amazing relationship with a partner and pass on these new amazing beliefs to your kids and the generations going forward. So if you loved that and you want to learn more on how to manifest your partner and get rid of all these curses and limiting beliefs and unconscious blocks, make sure you check out and register my webinar. It's the details are in the show notes below. All you have to do is click on that link and register. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask me at Michelle Chung Coach on Instagram. And I really look forward to chatting with you next time. See you later.